This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! Towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge. Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics. Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. We are back from the desert, Sin City. And what a show we have for you today. Lawrence Butler will be on the program today. We're going to get a little bit of State of the Union about our organization. We'll talk about Lawrence Butler. We'll talk about some of the moves made today. And we'll talk about how spring training is going, leading us into the 2025 season with the general manager. David Forst will be here today. And he is the number one data guy for ESPN. Everything you see on Sunday Night Baseball, everything you see on Monday Night Football, this guy does it. He also, you see him if you get up really, really early, get up the morning show on ESPN. He is a part of that program. Podcast, Buster Only's podcast. The great Paul Hembekides, award-winning author now from ESPN. Our guy Hembo is going to be here, and he's going to be singing the praises. And a lot of people are starting to do it. We had it all yesterday for you, as over 100 players were surveyed as the team to watch out for that nobody's talking about. That's the Athletics in 2025. Cody, how are you?
I'm good. Nice couple very productive days for the organization and for us in Las Vegas, Friday, Saturday, and yesterday. Cool being at Las Vegas ballpark for the game against the Diamondbacks, broadcasting there in the visiting radio booth for the Aviators. So it's a great weekend down there in Sin City.
I got two things for you today. Two things. And no, we are not breaking down the White Sox and the South Side and what is happening with the White Sox and Venable, their new manager. We are doing none of that today, but we will have White Sox and Athletics coming up here at 1 o'clock. It's Chris and Jenny on the call today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Johnny's taking a couple days off. Well-deserved, going to see his daughter up in Colorado. I know it's going to be a great moment for him because, you know, you send your child off to college. You want your kid to go and explore and have a good time, but it's good for the parents to check in to see how things are going. So it's the first big check-in for Johnny with his daughter in college. So Johnny, enjoy the time off, well-deserved, and going to be a very special moment for him and his daughter. And Johnny not only is a terrific broadcaster, but also a fantastic father. So I know it's going to be a special couple days for him. Well, it's finally announced, the little secret, Lawrence Butler. It's like ridiculous, right? Everybody is known. And then like we were talking to Lawrence and it was like, was it going to be a 3-year deal? Is it a 5-year deal? Ends up being a 7-year contract for Lawrence Butler. I talked with Lawrence when we were in Vegas at the Las Vegas Convention Center when we had the big press conference. And this is a great deal for Lawrence. He's got a home. A long-term home. And the two things that we're going to talk about today is love and Las Vegas. They normally don't go hand in hand. Now, you can find love in Las Vegas. Usually it doesn't always work out. But love and Las Vegas are the two things. We're going to start with love. Lawrence Butler is somebody that means a lot to this organization. And I think about Torey Lovello, who we saw over the weekend, the manager of the D-backs, who former Athletic, who talks about a big part of his career. He learned so much in his little time with the A's, but he learned so much, and he loves this organization, and that's why the manager of the Diamondbacks always comes on our program. Last time we saw him was the winter meetings in Dallas. And there's the 4 things that he talks about. And I think of Lawrence Butler with these 4 things. Torey Lovello talks about love, and I have it written down here. See this little thing I keep up here, the swinging A's? I wrote this down years ago when we had Torey on the program. Love, trust, commitment, and effort. Love, trust, commitment, and effort. All of that is Lawrence Butler. What this guy means to this organization, and to ink him up to a deal he's happy with and the organization's happy with. And a lot of the money's going to be deferred when the team gets into Vegas, so that's good. We all know the state tax situation. Great for Lawrence. But the commitment, because you need to understand what this guy has meant to this franchise. As we've been looking for the homegrown guy that you put your flag down and you say, this is our guy and this is our guy long term. How many times have I taken phone calls in the post-game show about we never sign our players, blah, blah, blah. I can't buy a jersey. I can't. Here you go. Here you go. Walk the walk, talk the talk. Well, we've talked the talk. Now we're walking the walk. And we've said we're going to sign our guys long term. People said, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, here you go. Lawrence Butler, 7 years. This takes him into free agency years. He has made the commitment. The organization has made the commitment. And he's a homegrown player, and he's super special. As I talked with Lawrence in Las Vegas, I'm like, man, these billboards, you're not going to find a place that has more billboards coming out of an airport than the Las Vegas airport. Lawrence Butler is going to be on billboards all over Nevada. He's going to be in Vegas. He's going to be in Reno. Because I've told people when I was there during the football season, all these billboards, it's Raiders everywhere in Reno. That's going to be Lawrence Butler in Reno. He's going to be everywhere. Face of the franchise player. But he's more than that. He's a special, when you draft a guy, you draft him on size, speed, athleticism. You project what he could be as a major league player. But you never know what you're getting with the personality, the type of person, the type of guy that's going to be in your clubhouse. You have no idea. He's 18 years old. He's coming out of high school. You don't know what kind of adult he's going to be. You just hope. You hope and pray you get that special person who everybody, going back to that word, love. Everybody loves Lawrence Butler. He has been through every level, and our coaches stay the same throughout our organization. The family, we talk about the family atmosphere with the Athletics that we have always had and we always will have. That Lawrence Butler has been a part of the fabric of this organization from the bottom to the top. And he means something to everybody. All the coaches, whether you're a pitching coach, you're a hitting coach, base running coach, whatever kind of coach you are in our organization, Lawrence Butler, you've been a part of his career, and he's been a part of your journey. Yesterday, we had Fran Reardon on, AAA manager, Las Vegas Aviators. And I asked him about Lawrence, and he said he's never seen a player get better faster than Lawrence Butler. But then it's not always about the talent. It's about the person. It's about the man that he is becoming. And he is such a glue to where we have had terrific players in our clubhouse. But they've always been, there's been guys that are a little prickly, right? And it's, to have a great player and to have him be a guy that everybody loves is so rare. It is so rare. Like, you know how much I love me some Josh Donaldson, right? And you can look at Matt Chapman. You can have guys that you think are going to be that guy, but, there's some things that at times guys can be a little tough to deal with. Even though I love those guys, and I loved them as A's, we're talking about a player that he shows up every day with the biggest smile. He's humble. He was raised right. I know his family was there. We've seen the pictures. Jenny Kavanaugh, I believe, has put out a video. She put it out on Twitter?
Yeah, it's out on Twitter.
So go check the video. Family members are there. But you can just tell he was raised right. Treats everybody with nothing but respect. He's not divisive. He is what you want a star leader to be. When you come in the clubhouse, it's inviting. Everybody knows that we're all pulling on the same rope. We're all trying to do what's best for the organization. And everybody adores him. And on the other side of that, he feels the exact same way. This is home to him. Lawrence Butler has said, in all the craziness that we've been dealing with, which that's a reality. And we talk about it on this show. We're not going to hide it. There's been a lot of craziness that has been around us. It's never affected Lawrence and how he feels. I will never forget when we had Scott Boras. I want to say it was either Logan Davidson or maybe Max Muncy.
It was, if you're going where I think you're going, it was Logan Davidson.
Was it Logan Davidson?
Yeah.
So we take Logan Davidson first round out of Clemson.
2019.
And we have Scott Boras on after. And, of course, we're going to talk about Logan Davidson. It's great. But then we ask Scott Boras, hey, what's up with Matt Chapman? We're trying to sign him up to and you could tell there was no love. There was no love. There was no commitment. And it was going to be about we're going to get the top dollar, blah blah blah. Then all of a sudden he started going off to we're going to have a division in Asia, and it was the most roundabout. He just didn't want to answer. We're not going to sign an extension with the A's, and that's fine. That's every player's choice. And I'm glad that Matt Chapman finally got paid. He's with the Giants. Always like Matt Chapman. Guy's tough as nails. Good luck to him. But he didn't want to commit. What did he want to commit to? He just wanted to commit to the dollar. And I understand that. It's everybody has their right. You're a business you're a business of your own as a player. I get it. But when you want to build something special and you want to go on these runs, you have certain players, certain pillars of an organization that you build your house on those pillars. And now we've seen the pillar of Severino, a major free agent, a guy who's pitched in New York for the Yankees and the Mets, the pressure cooker, the ultimate in our game, and he's pitched in 14 postseason games? He brings that experience. He's one of these guys you could say he's a dude. When he is on, he is a dude. Brent Rooker is like a Disney story. When you think about everything that he's gone through to where he is today, awesome. Those are two pillars. Then all of a sudden, Mark Kotsay, where the owner comes out and says, I believe in this guy as a leader. I think he could lead any type of business. That says a lot coming from your owner. The belief in a leader of men. That's Mark Kotsay. That's another pillar. But this one's different because he's ours. We raised him. We helped him grow as a player. We helped him, and I say we as an organization, we helped him grow as a player. We helped him grow as a man. And where he is now and how happy he is to be an Athletic. And what that means, a guy like Lawrence is just not everybody in our clubhouse, but people in the game love Lawrence. So as Lawrence continues to grow in this game, and we'll talk to him because where's the All-Star game this year?
Atlanta.
Where's he from?
Atlanta.
So, Lawrence Butler talking to people, your primetime guys are some of your best recruiters to get people to come to your team. And free agents look at that. They look at who's in that clubhouse. Is this team going to win? Obviously, there's a price. The money's a big factor, but people want to win. People want to go to the right place. And when your leader is a guy like Lawrence Butler versus a guy like Barry Bonds, no offense, Barry, greatest player I ever saw, but Barry wasn't the most inviting guy. Not everybody wanted to play with Barry because they knew how Barry was. When you got a guy that everybody wants to play with, I mean, the gravitational pull that he has to people, He walks into a room with that smile and that big personality. Everybody wants to, it's like that party everybody wants to go to. Everybody wants to get into that party. Lawrence Butler helps make that party. We all remember, right? College, high school, whatever. Everybody wants to get into that party. That's the place to be. Lawrence Butler makes that party. And so there is going to be all these guys in baseball who are looking at, wow, Lawrence Butler's going to be there a long time. Brent Rooker's going to be there a long time. The manager's going to be there. It's a story to tell. But the Lawrence Butler thing, because the love that this organization is showing him and that he's showing the organization isn't something you get a lot in our game. Like if I think about another player, and I'm not going to compare that. This is not a apples to apples comparison. But if you remember back, Steph Curry was a guy with bad ankles. Steph Curry was a guy that had issues. And there was a legitimate conversation that they had. Who do we want to keep? Monte Ellis or Steph Curry? If you guys remember that. And Chris Mullin, they were retiring his jersey, and everybody's booing Joe Lacob. Everybody hated Joe Lacob at that point. Rick Barry, the Hall of Famer, had to come out, and he grabbed the microphone. Come on, people.
This is crazy.
This is crazy, right? I mean, it was just chaos. I remember I was on the air that night. We didn't have the Warriors then at 95.7. I was doing my talk show, and you could just see, I was watching, and all of a sudden, as I'm doing my show, I could see Rick Barry's getting up and taking the mic, and I knew, oh, God, something's really going on. This is not good. Well, what happens? They made the commitment to Steph. Steph made the commitment to the organization. Steph loved the organization, and the rest is history. And now you look at the run that they've been on. You need that special type player. It doesn't happen with every organization. I mean, you can go around the history of baseball to those certain players who made that commitment to the organization because they loved the organization and how it worked out. You think of Cal Ripken in Baltimore, a guy that he went into the Hall of Fame with, Tony Gwynn in San Diego, Kirby Puckett in Minnesota, these guys who were the friend, George Brett in Kansas City, Robin Yount in Milwaukee. These guys become the faces of the franchise. And to have a guy, not everybody has that guy. Some franchises still don't have that guy. But when you have that guy, you ink him up and you keep him long term because it's super special. Lawrence Butler will be on the program today. I have a question. I reached out to the guy who's really his mentor. I mean, we talk about, I'm not overselling this. You got to realize, like Bobby Crosby, our rookie of the year, Bobby Crosby, who's on our coaching staff. He has such a special relationship as basically a mentor to Lawrence Butler, as he was his manager in Double-A, but how close they are. I reached out to Bobby. I got a question from Bobby Crosby for Lawrence Butler today. And I know how much this contract means to Bobby because he has helped Lawrence and he loves Lawrence. You can't use the word love enough, and we don't use that in our game. That's not a word you use a lot in our game. That's why this thing is really special, and I'm super, super fired up about it. Number 2, Las Vegas. This weekend was so eye-opening, and a lot of us who are around this, and we've been around it for a long, long time, have all said, wow, it blew us away. Folks, this is real. And I know there's still the detractors out there that you're going to see a lot, like on X, Twitter. Don't listen to it. Vegas is so real, it's unbelievable. We were around the power brokers of Las Vegas this weekend. And they want this badly, and they're going to make it happen. And with the signing of our new president, Mark Bedane, who essentially Mark Bedane, former president of the Raiders, who was working with the group to bring the NBA to Las Vegas, and the NBA will be in Las Vegas. I mean, it's still kind of crazy to think it wasn't that long ago that everybody said you couldn't have professional sports. You could have minor league sports, and you could have boxing and the PGA Tour and tennis and all the different tours would stop through. and I know auto racing, but team sports, gambling, can't have it. Wasn't that long ago. And talking to Don Logan yesterday, longtime GM and president of the AAA team in Las Vegas, who is a heavy hitter in Las Vegas. He's got a lot of ears of the people there. And we had him on the program yesterday.
It was very good for like almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I mean, he broke down the Bay Area situation. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
You sure you don't live in the Bay Area? If you go back, it's on Twitter. He is a big mover and shaker. He's been there since the early 80s. Talking to Steve Hill, the CEO of the Las Vegas Convention Visitors Authority. He is one of the major power brokers. I didn't realize, and of course they're sponsoring our patch that we unveiled on Friday, and I didn't realize the amount of money from taxes, the hotel tax that goes to the Las Vegas Convention people, and how their job is to go out, and Steve Hill goes around the country and around the world promoting Las Vegas, getting people to come to Las Vegas. And that's why they tell you in any given year, they're having around 45 million people come to Las Vegas. And that they are so behind this that they're putting the patch on the jersey. It's just for all the people who are out there trying to tell you that Las Vegas is not going to happen, folks, don't listen to it. It is happening. And just don't listen to me. Cody, you were with me the whole time. Whether we were at the press conference, we were at the party, just the power brokers that we were around, the people in Vegas. If you hear that there's no excitement, just what we saw at the Fan Fest, thank you to all the people in Las Vegas, same as in Sacramento. We love our new station, 650 KSTE, but also the Bowl in Las Vegas. But a lot of here on A's Cast, we had quite a few fans who came up to us who are watching us on YouTube and on Twitter in Las Vegas. We didn't know. Like our data shows it, but we hadn't talked to these people. We hadn't shaken hands and introduced ourselves yet. Well, we did this weekend, and we had people coming up to us at the Fan Fest saying, and we thank you for the kind words that you love the show and everything, but just to know that, yes, we see you in the data, but now we see you in the flesh, and it's real. And how many fans came up to us to tell us they can't wait? I mean, the consensus is all we wish it was right now. And after this weekend of being in beautiful Summerlin's beautiful, by the way, the backdrop of the mountains and the red mountains. That's why it's the Red Rock Casino, the Red Rock, but it's the mountains. I mean, it's the high desert, right? So there's snow in the mountains. I mean, it was absolute. I mean, it's picturesque. It was absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I agree with them. I mean, I could do it right now. I mean, I could still be in Summerlin if they want us to be, but that's Lawrence Butler's going to be the star today. But I wanted to throw the message out there for us to go there, to see what we saw, to talk to the people that we talked to. This thing is happening. So whatever you're reading on Twitter, I get it. Like, until you actually see a stadium. I mean, they did the exact same. I mean, just to let everybody knows my history with the Raiders. They all did the same thing with the Raiders. Now it's different players singing the same tune. Everybody, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, now Allegiant Stadium is the number one venue in the world. It's the number one revenue generating building in the entertainment business in the world. And the same story of, I'll believe it when I see it. The Raiders, Mark Davis, they're never going to get it done, blah, 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 blah. Allegiant Stadium is there. The proof is in the pudding. And now the man who got Allegiant Stadium built, Mark Bedane, who was the big mover and shaker, is now running our organization. And as we talked to the big movers and shakers in Vegas, they all said, huge move by John Fisher to bring Mark Bedane on board. Now, I love Mark Bedane because I worked for him with the Raiders. He's an unbelievable leader, straight shooter, just a terrific businessman. And I don't know else. I don't need to sell you anymore. I'm just going to tell you from our experience. We needed to experience it. The traveling party around the A's needed to experience, because we've been told, can't wait, this thing's going to happen. And we'd be like, yeah, we're on board. Let's go. But now that we've been boots on the ground, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people want to put this show in their studios in Las Vegas right now. Like right now, we have people who are like, come here now and do your show. Do your show, do your NBC stuff, do it here in Vegas right now. They would take us right now.
Yeah, that was awesome to hear. I love that.
I'm taking business cards going, yeah. I mean, our boss Delaire now has meetings. I mean, they want us now. They want us to bring our stuff there now.
Like hearing all that was exciting because then the first thing I thought selfishly is, you're telling me you want us to come and do a show and I don't have to worry about setting up anything?
No.
Sign me up.
They have everything. It's Vegas. It's the entertainment capital of the United States. Hollywood. If you don't know this, Hollywood is moving to Nevada. It's slowly creeping out of Los Angeles into Nevada. All the major events. Your Super Bowl's on rotation. The national championship game in football. The Final Four. Formula One. Everything is there. And it's going to be on rotation there. And the fact that we're going to be there is super, super exciting. Can't wait. Came home last night, told the wife, get ready. We're moving. I mean, this is happening. It's just, where are we going to live? I want the Howard Hughes suite that I live in atop of a casino.
Well, I loved what everyone was talking about.
Everybody's like talking Summerlin and the suburbs. I'm ready. I think I could live atop in a suite in a casino.
I can't remember who it was, if it was Steve Finelli or Ross Bowen. One of them said about just you having a zip line into the ballpark.
Just zip line me right into the ballpark. Yeah, I can live right. Exciting stuff. And we got more to talk about. What a wonderful weekend. Lawrence Butler. It's a great day right here on A's Cast Live.
Are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
New A's starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs outlines the similarities between the young A's and his old team in Tampa Bay.
A lot of similarities in a lot of the ways, in the sense of like young guys, a lot of talented, young players that are establishing themselves or have, established themselves in the last year or two, and really finding, their way, their path, and kind of, making the adjustments. So it's exciting, watching, the guys throw, the guys hit, and then, like you said, competing against them the last couple of years. The talent, it's exciting. When you kind of have younger guys that are hungry and eager to play, those can be dangerous teams. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick. In a sense, it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun. I owe a ton to this organization, the people in it, for giving me the opportunity that I was looking for a while, and I'm grateful I was able to take advantage of it and get to this point.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
We are waiting for Lawrence Butler. He had his workouts that he had to do after the press conference today, and we will have him when he's done. A 5-year deal worth $65.5 million with a 1-year option, can max out at $87.5 million. The largest AAV and second largest guaranteed for a position player with 1+ years of service at signing.
That was from, I think John Heyman had that the other day.
Think about that. Second largest ever. So, some people looked at the number and people have kind of debated the number, but when you look at the totality and how much service time he had, it's the second largest contract for a position player. Third largest contract in team history, second largest extension. But in the history of baseball, a guy with a year plus service, it's the second largest contract we've ever seen. Now, you think about the turnout. They always knew it's in him. It's just, it takes a little time to get going. And yeah, he struggled last year at the start. 179, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs in 52 games, a 529 OPS, and he didn't look himself, right? And we knew it. And we see him every day. I mean, Lawrence is the kind of guy that comes over to our set every day to say hello. It's the kind of guy he is. In a way, he's kind of like Ray Fosse. It's actually a pretty, I haven't thought about that. And you know how much Ray Fosse means to us. But that's how Ray Fosse was. Ray Fosse was a guy that pumped people up every single day. Ray Fosse made it a point to talk to people every day, to pump people up every day. Ray was just that guy. That's why I called him the face of the franchise. Lawrence is the exact same way. Lawrence comes out every day to say hello. He's the only player to ever do that. You know what? Liam Hendricks. Liam Hendricks was the same way. Pitchers obviously have a little more time. But every day when we're set up right next to the dugout, every day, Lawrence comes over. I mean, Lawrence makes everybody feel invited. And it's a really key thing about somebody who's going to be your leader. He makes everybody feel like they're a part of it. His last 73 games, the last 73 games, these numbers are so off the charts. A 302 average, 20 bombs, 49 RBIs, 18 doubles, 2 triples, 14 stolen bases. If this was the NBA, we're talking about filling up the box score, right? I mean, it's points, it's rebounds, it's steals, it's blocks. He did everything, and he had an OPS of 943. He has the ability to be an absolute superstar in this game. And we talked about off the air, and I don't think we'll get much into this in the interview with him, but he's still going to have a chance at another contract. But the key is, and what I'm so happy for him, and I know from his father, and I got this because his father's become good buddies with, of course, Road Trip Mike, who is not buddy. Road Trip's buddy with everybody because he's with everybody on the road. So his father told Road Trip that Lawrence wants a home. He wanted this to be home. It feels like home. He wants to be home. And this will always be his home. And you really can't put a price on that. And Lawrence Butler inks this deal up. And I said to Lawrence, man, if you don't screw this up, you'll never have to worry about money again and playing the game that you love. And he was like, yep. The security that Butler now has, that Rooker now has, that these guys can just go play. Brent Rooker doesn't have to worry about, am I going to go to Japan? Am I going to make the club? Every at-bat. Now Rooker can just go improve on what he did the last 2 years and just get better, which is hard to believe because last year was like an MVP year. And now Lawrence Butler doesn't have to worry about a lot of different things. He can just go play. And the signal that this sends to all of the other guys, J.J. Bleday, Shea Langoliers, which, by the way, on the plane last night, on the way back, I downloaded our SiriusXM, our buddies at SiriusXM. It was Jim Duquette and Ryan Spielborgs, both good friends of the program. They did the A's preview and went to camp. I almost don't even want to tell you this because I know you're going to go get it. Mark Kotze butchered Langolier's name again in that. It's tough. He struggles with it. So who do I mean? Bleday, Langoliers, Mason Miller, on and on and on. You know, Jacob Wilson, long term, Zach Geloff. I mean, all these guys.
This is Shea Langoliers.
So you can. This sends a message. And also the other thing we talked about with Fran, which I thought was super key when we talked about, because we really just couldn't address until it was released, but now it's released. But we did address this with Fran Reardon. What the signal that it sends to all the minor league players, right? Because minor league players, it's different in all these different organizations, right? And some of these organizations, for a minor league player, you're blocked. Like if you're a minor leaguer in the Dodgers right now, and it was like this for years with the Yankees when they were going through their great run, I mean, where are you going to play? You get drafted to be a shortstop with the Yankees back in the day. How are you feeling about that?
You have no shot.
Center field. You're a center fielder. How do you feel about that?
Catcher.
First base. I mean, Yankees were always, if they had a deficiency, they normally weren't bringing somebody up. They just go get somebody. So if you're a minor leaguer in the Yankee system and you're sitting there, you're going, man, I can really play, but Derek Jeter's signed to he's not going anywhere. Posada's not going anywhere. Bernie's not going anywhere. Tino the Bambino wasn't going anywhere. And then all of a sudden they signed Giambi. I mean, where the hell am I going to play? Robinson Cano is at second. I mean, where am I going to play? How am I going to make this team? And like the Dodgers are like that now. Like, can you imagine if you're a hotshot young kid in the Dodgers system? Do you really think you're ever going to make the Dodgers team?
Position player wise, no. You can as a pitcher because they just keep having guys get hurt. But yeah, if you're a position player, like
I do want to get into the Blake Snell, by the way, saying the Giants never even talked to him.
And Bob Melville never responded to his text.
I'm not going to say I know why, but let's just say this. I understand. I will back you know what? Maybe, is it the Giants tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow? Let's address this tomorrow. And this will actually be maybe the only time this season I'll say something nice about the Giants.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect to hear that.
Yeah, me neither. Me siding with the Giants over Snell. That will be the only time this year. But yeah, I totally understand. And and then you need to understand how the Dodgers are approaching these things. Because the Dodgers are just throwing around so much money and they're deferring so much of it. They don't need him to be the dude. Everybody else, if I'm paying this guy the kind of money he wants, I need him to be the guy. We got Garrett Cole could be having Tommy John surgery.
Ooh.
We went through this last year with Cole, and he didn't want to have Tommy John surgery. Worked out. They got to the World Series. But now at his age, having Tommy John surgery with so many years left on the contract, I do want to get to the Jacob deGrom sound. Obviously, that's in division. That means a lot to us. deGrom's going to be back. That's not good for the A's. But there's something in this audio I have for you from Jacob deGrom that I'm hoping that all the pitching coaches, that all the pitching analysts in these front offices will listen to Jacob deGrom and go, you know, he's probably right. That's a tease right there. I can't give you a time because we're waiting on all these people. But Jacob deGrom said something that could be good for pitching long term. And coming from a guy that is so talented that if he would have stayed healthy, who knows what his career would have been. You guys still try and say he's a baseball Hall of Famer. I don't know. I mean, the way we vote now is different from years. If it was years ago, no chance. But things have changed how the voters feel. He's got 2 Cy Young awards, so there's a good chance. There's definitely a chance he'll get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he still has years left, right? Now with another surgery, we'll see how it goes. But what he said is something that I think everybody in the big leagues, minor leagues, college, high school, I think they could learn from this. And it's coming from a guy that had to have 2 surgeries to really say this. I think it's very impactful. I'm hoping you feel the same. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We're waiting for Lawrence Butler. At any moment, we're going to have him to talk about his extension. What else did we want to get into today?
There's the list from MLB.com, like we did yesterday. They, over 100 players were surveyed about who they're excited about, and the A's were number 1. They did it today. What pitcher do you want closing out a Game 7? This one was interesting.
Any pitcher.
No, not really.
Anybody.
Starter or reliever.
Well, I know who I'm taking. It's hands down the scariest man of all time.
Oh, yeah. I think
and I've seen it. If I got Game 7 and it's the 9th inning, I'm bringing this, and I'm blowing people away. There's one guy, and his name is Randy Johnson.
He had a nice little career, as they say.
I've seen it. Remember the Yankees had won 3 straight World Series. They were going for their 4th, and Randy shoved it down their throat in Game 6, and they blew out the Yankees. Do we call Arizona the Bob then? I think it was the Bob then. Whatever the name was of the stadium in Arizona at the time. Randy Johnson shoves it down their throat. They take him out because it was a blowout, knowing they could use him in Game 7. Schilling comes out, should be in the Hall of Fame. Schilling comes out, deals in Game 7, comes down to the end, and what happens? Bob Brenly goes to Randy Johnson. And here you got this Yankee team that had won 3 straight World Series, future Hall of Famers, great players, all-stars, bunch of world champions. They've got pedigree that's unbelief. That's unbelievable. They're one of the greatest teams of all time. And even they knew, we're in trouble. The big man comes lumbering out 6'10". He comes out, and he's the scariest man to ever pitch in Major League Baseball history. He's massive. He's huge. He's got this wingspan. He's coming all the way. The camera doesn't even do it. How far he comes from the side. He doesn't know where it's going at times. There is not one human being who's ever said Randy Johnson was uncomfortable at bat. Not one. Whether you were even at your right-handers, like, dude, this guy's scary and he comes out, and the Yankees knew we're screwed. They knew it. You're talking about the Yankees. They had won 3 straight World Series titles, and they see him come out of the bullpen. They go, oh, no. Didn't this guy just throw up bias all day long yesterday, and he's coming out again? Now, I get what Bumgarner did, and Bumgarner was just tough as nails. But Randy Johnson was scary and and he had some of the craziest stuff of all time. Back in the day, we didn't have Baseball Savant. But you know what the break was on his slider and how hard that slider was? Then he had the split later on, and he's throwing triple digits. It's 60 feet, 6 inches is the mound. But by the time Randy Johnson lands on his right foot and he releases it, he's practically at the glove already. So I know Randy Johnson's not eligible for this list because he's been retired. He's a photographer now.
Correct. He's actually really good at it.
Livermore's own Randy Johnson.
I always remember he won his 300th game as a Giant.
I will never forget. So back in the day, speaking of the Raiders, I used to do the TV show for Silver and Black Productions that you would see on Raiders.com, or you saw it on Channel 2 Fox in the Bay Area. You have to say that now because we're in Sacramento and Vegas. So I used to do the weekly TV show with the head coach. Jack Del Rio who was head coach of the Raiders, longtime linebacker in the NFL. But Jack Del Rio in college was known for what he did as a football player at USC. He was MVP of the Rose Bowl. How many linebackers have ever been the MVP of a major bowl game? Not many. And this is the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy back in the day. Well, he was also the catcher on the baseball team for Rod Dato, the legendary USC baseball coach. And they've had some pretty good, Tom Seaver, he was a decent little player. Mark McGuire, you might have heard of him. Randy Johnson, pitching at USC, scared everyone, including the umpires, because nobody knew. Like Jack Del Rio said, nobody knew where it was going, including Randy. So when you stepped up, it was just like every pitch was like, oh God, can you imagine that? This 6'10" skinny kid is out on the mound throwing high 90s at the time, and he's got he would airmail everybody. He was Nuke Lelouch before Nuke Lelouch and Bull Durham. He would hit whatever mascot. And all of his breaking stuff, Del Rio said, it would just pummel Del Rio. It was all hitting in front of him, and it was all day long taking it off the chest protector. Can you imagine getting into the box? You're somebody who's at Arizona State, UCLA, whatever, and you're hitting against Randy Johnson, and you're in college, and he literally doesn't know where it's going. And especially if you're left-handed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I always love when you tell that story about Jack Del Rio. I mean, because people don't remember him that he played baseball. And
yeah, he was a really good catcher out of Hayward High.
And just hearing that Randy Johnson didn't know where it was going, then again, he figured it out. I think he figured it out eventually in the major leagues. But
can you imagine you're the catcher, just like the umpire's huddling behind you, you're the catcher, and everybody's like, I don't know where it's going. I don't know where it's going.
We haven't seen a lot of guys like that. Rick Ankiel was a guy that threw hard but didn't know where it was going. Fuji, if you want to go with someone that was on the A's, Fuji threw hard, but he didn't know where it was going a lot of the time.
Shintaro didn't know where it was going in the bullpen. Bip Roberts and I were down the left field line. We were getting ready for the post-game show on NBC. The game's about to be over. Shintaro's warming up. So we were down the left field line at the Coliseum in that little barbecue area. And so cameras were getting ready, and all of a sudden you hear whack on the back fence. They got to halt the game. Really paid no attention. A couple pitches later, boom, you hear it again. They got to stop the game. And we're like, and then it's a third time. You're like, Shintaro cannot find the catcher in the bullpen. To the great George in San Francisco.
I know he's listening. We're going to get an email soon.
One of my legendary callers, George in San Francisco. He's the biggest Shintaro Fujinami fan. I gave him the Shintaro Fujinami glove. It was a great thing that we did on A's Cast in the Treehouse. But it was 3 separate times. He airmails the catcher, hits the wall, and the ball goes in play, and they had to stop the game. Can you imagine, Scott Emerson calls down. Is he ready? Yeah, but he can't find the catcher. You can't make this up. And I didn't have to see it because I'd hear it and you'd look and everybody's scrambling to get the ball in the field and everybody's calling timeout. Guys that throw really hard and they have they say this is well before any of us were born, but a young Nolan Ryan coming up through the Met system and then with the Mets, they say Nolan, and that's Nolan talked to Randy Johnson. A young Nolan Ryan had no idea where it was going. Oh my God. Can you just imagine, Nolan, you're facing this lanky kid out of Alvin, Texas, and he's up there and he's trying, they're trying as hard as they can, but I can't. That's got to be one of the scariest things. And it's got to be scary for you as a pitcher too. And Randy Johnson has talked about it, how scary it is you're letting loose a ball that could really severely injure somebody. And you don't want to hurt anybody. But yeah, if I got one inning and I got to close this thing out, Game 7 of the World Series, and a guy that can handle the pressure, bring me the big unit. They went with Class A.
Yeah, so Class A was number 1. This is 100 players were surveyed.
Now, he did not throw well in the postseason this year, but everybody loves Stephen Vogt, and I know he won the American League Manager of the Year, and you do everything you can to get to the playoffs, but his bullpen, by the time they got to the postseason, that's why it's so key talking this year with Mark Kotze about why the A's, and you look at Severino, and you look at Sears, and you look at Springs, and you look at however you want, Beto, Spence, Estes, that'll be the early group. Like, they got to give you innings, because if you ride that bullpen the entire year, the Guardians were a great example of what happens. You get to the postseason, and these dudes are torched. And he tried to ride multiple innings out of Class A in the postseason, and he just didn't have the same stuff.
Yeah, so the topic of the article is, which pitcher would you want on the mound to get to final out in a Game 7? So Class A was number 1. Number 2, well, don't have to go very far to find number 2.
I was shocked by this.
Mason Miller was voted number 2.
Now, he has that ability, but Mason Miller had an ERA over 3 last year. I mean, he has that, he's growing into this role where he's going to be one of the most dominant guys. I'm surprised already he's getting the status.
Yeah, it's the first sentence in the article. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the Lawrence Butler at the same time. The first sentence. This thanks to a four-seamer that averaged 100.9 miles per hour and then his strikeout rate of 41.8%.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of the players are saying. What for Class A? Someone said he had a 0.61 ERA. That's all you need to say during the regular. I mean, he was great.
It was like Blake Trinan the year
2018.
Yeah, Blake Trinan had a year that was. It's one of the greatest years you've ever seen. I mean, it was just, he was so lights out coming out of the bullpen for the Athletics. And that's hard to maintain, right? You think about Dennis Eckersley, the couple of years for him, MVP year, to have a sub-1 ERA and to pitch that much. It's, you write a guy that's got the hot hand like that, but to replicate that year after year. Yeah, Mason Miller to me will be one of those guys. I'm just shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he was 5th, but to have him 2 out of everybody in the game, he's number 2 according to the players. That's high praise.
Absolutely. I think we're going to get we're efforting to get Lawrence maybe after we go to break at the bottom of there, 11:57.
Okay.
3 was Ryan Helsley, the closer for the Cardinals, another guy that throws incredibly hard.
I got to tell you, he was my guy in this fantasy league you drag me into every single year. And once again, I will not be drafting. It's on my birthday, so the computer will draft for me. But we do need to set up my dream team.
Yes,
I will be selecting a lot of A's. Lawrence Butler will be my first pick.
Then you want guys like...
I want to get A's, and then I want to get a bunch of guys who only hit for average.
Well, real quick, breaking. I'm not going to play the sounder because that's on my phone right now. According to John Heyman, Dave Roberts will get he's getting a new deal, $8 million per year over the next 4 seasons. So Dave Roberts' new manager contract in Major League Baseball.
By the way, that's Dave Roberts, friend of the program, Dave Roberts. Juan Dorado is their PR guy down in Los Angeles, used to work for us, and has done an epic job for us getting Dave Roberts, because a lot of people want to talk to Dave Roberts. So every single time we're around the Dodgers, we've been able to get Doc, as they like to say. Yeah. I have a little history with him. I played football against him in high school. Then we played against each other in college. And it's really, I'm super happy for him. He is one of the most genuine, great guys in our game. Who, once again, you talk about Lawrence Butler, when you talk about being very humble, being very gracious, we always like to talk to him, the number 1 stolen base that we've ever seen in the history of baseball, 0-4 against the Yankees in the ALCS, the greatest comeback we've ever seen in our sport. As a player, such a gritty player. We know how close he and Mark Kotze are. I'm super happy for Dave Roberts because Dave Roberts, in an era where we tried to say the manager doesn't matter, kind of one of the things that I didn't like about coming out in the Moneyball era, that all of a sudden the guys behind the scenes, the data people that nobody knows, they're the stars. Leadership matters. Leadership matters in every single business. I don't care if it's baseball, wherever you're listening right now, wherever you're watching, wherever you work, whatever line of work you're in, leadership matters. Leadership matters. And Dave Roberts taking a lot of heat when they got bounced by the Padres and then bounced by the D-backs. People called for his job. Now people realize Dave Roberts, he's got a gift of communicating with his players. He gets buy-in from his players. And no matter how much money they spend, you got to get the buy-in. He's been perfect for that job in Los Angeles. And I'm so happy for Dave. He earned it. He deserves it. And, hopefully everybody, our owner, John Fisher, what he said about Mark Kotze and leadership. And now with the Guggenheim and all what they're saying about leadership and the manager really, really matters. We're getting back into, I still think Boone has been a terrific leader for everything he's got to deal with. Nobody has to deal with what he has to deal with in New York.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on AceCast.
Coming up next, Lawrence Butler right here on A's Cast Live.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabathia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, Playboy Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big league. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, so right now it's just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% up there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/acecast.
A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
Exciting. The time of game, everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room and celebrate a win. So I love it, and I feel like I just embrace it and take the role for what it is.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/acecast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All right. I'm not sure if we're getting him via video or audio. He's not in the lineup today. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
We will have A's baseball coming your way at the top of the hour. Where are we? Are we at home?
Yeah, we're at Hohokam against the White Sox.
It's been very tough to follow lately because we've had a lot of split squad, and so you get the updates from the MLB app, so you're getting constantly updates from two different games.
Yeah, well, that's what happened all weekend because of the games in Las Vegas.
It's like, what? Wait, what? We scored against the Dodgers? Wait, what? We're playing Z-Bat? It's just, it's kind of tough to it's kind of tough, and we've had some moves that have been made. We'll get to those moves in just a little bit, and that's why we wanted to get Colby Thomas on while we were in Vegas, because we knew Colby Thomas would not be making the 26-man roster, but I wanted you to see him. Get it back up there on YouTube for people to see, because this kid is dynamic. He is going to be, you can't guarantee anything, but I do believe we will see Colby Thomas in Sacramento this year with the Athletics. This kid is uber talented. He's a terrific young athlete, and he's going to go to Vegas. He's going to tear it up. Nobody's team stays intact the whole season. People get injured. You're dealing with human beings. And that, you want to know how you win over 81 games to 85 to 90 to 95 and then on to 100, and you want to be one of those teams? It's about the depth of your roster. And it's the depth of your 40-man roster. When guys get hurt, the next man up, what are you bringing up? Do you have people to bring up, which clearly the A's didn't have, right? I was talking to Dan Feinstein at the party. We got to have, you know what? We've made it a tradition to have him on like right at the start of the year. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
We've been doing it for years. I said, we'll wait. We'll bring you on, A's assistant general manager, who's had an unbelievable career in baseball, whether it's the A's or the Rays. I mean, he's basically worked for two of the smartest franchises that people look at with player personnel. Dan's fascinating, too, because he handles the international scouts. And to talk to Dan about, well, how do you deal and have meetings with guys that are working around the globe? And it's crazy, right? Because you think, well, you've got to stay up to like 3 a.m. to talk to guys that are like in Asia that are your scouts, right? Yeah. You're trying to manage. Dan is managing personnel from a scouting standpoint around the globe. He's got people all over the globe that he's got to manage. So it's always interesting, Dan Feinstein, to talk to him, our assistant general manager. I talked to him at the party, and we were laughing like, because he goes, yeah, there's still some spots that are, we have to decide. But he goes, the depth is far better. And we'll talk to David Forst, the general manager, coming up here, and we can talk about that with him. Is, the depth is far better. So when you have guys go down, what do you have coming up? And will they be able to help you? And that's what you need if you're and if anybody's showing you that we're going to win with depth, we're just going to win with volume. If I said, if there is an example of we're going to load up and win with volume, because what did so many teams do? So many teams said, we're going to ink up star players, and these are our guys, and that's how we're going to win. Well, one team, they've inked up stars, but they've just inked up a ton of people because they know volume wins. Who would that be?
Dodgers?
Be the Dodgers. Dodgers have cut. They get a lot of pub for the big deals, but go look at all the different people they've signed this offseason. They've signed a boatload of people. They're going to win with volume, to where so many teams want to ink up X amount of stars, and that's what they promote. And look what our star play. But you've got to have a 40-man roster. You're going to go through, we talked about with Fran Reardon yesterday, you're going to go through so many pitchers during a baseball season. The year 21 or 22, we used 74 players. It was a record in our franchise's history.
think it was the year we won 50 games. Was it that year?
22?
So, yeah, I think that was that year.
And you would think, oh, my God, who else has used 74 players on the year? That's what I was thinking. And I was naive because we came to the last series of the year against the Angels, and they'd used 75. 75. And that was their franchise record. They beat the A's by 1. And I wanted to play the game on A's Cast. Can you name all 74 players? And for $10,000, can you name the number they wore?
I'll start. Connor Capel wore number 39.
Mickey Morabito couldn't even name all 74 guys, and he's the one that flies them back and forth. 74 players. Think about that. And back then, what was the rosters? Had we gone to 26 yet?
Yeah, that was a COVID. That was during the COVID year. Yeah, we moved after
22?
That was 26. That's what you're asking, right?
Were we using 26 and 22?
Yeah. Yes.
That sounds kind of complicated.
Yeah.
26-man roster in 2022.
2022, yes.
Because I knew we kept the COVID roster in 21. Was 28 players?
Yeah.
And at some point we whittled down to 20. They decided 26. I mean, you got 26 guys. You end up using 74. I mean, it just goes to show the best teams, they're going to win with volume. They're going to, and they're guys that, let's face it, when you look at the Rays' success over the years, how many times do the Rays come to town and you're like, it's like watching the old movie Major League. Who are these guys? But,
yeah.
I mean, the Rays have done it. By the way, the Rays, read this on the plane last night. When we talk about Vegas is real, Vegas is happening, and it's going to be super exciting. Wasn't that long ago that baseball, the Rays, and St. Petersburg were all holding hands singing Kumbaya, everything's good, and now it is not. And because of the hurricane that ripped off the top of the Trop, and the city council didn't vote, things got pushed back, costs have gone up. The Rays ownership has said, we shouldn't have to pay for the additional costs because you didn't vote, blah, 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 blah. There's a fight going on, and the Rays have to commit to the project by March 31st, and if they don't commit to the project, whoa, boy, baseball's got big problems. And Evan Drellich, who was just on this show, friend of the program from The Athletic, was one of the great things when we had him in Arizona. He's like, whatever you do, don't ask me about baseball. I'm the business of baseball.
Yeah.
I used to be a beat writer for the Red Sox, and then he was a beat writer for the Astros. And little did we know that I've known Evan for a long time. I partied with him back in my party days in Japan in 2012. And I was like, oh, my God. Now I remember. So I've actually known him for a long time, but we had him on all those years when he was covering the Astros for the Houston Chronicle, and he really broke the dirtiness of the Astros and all the off-field and the inside the front office and how the employees, and just really, it was ugly. And remember, one of the last questions I had for him, it's up on YouTube right now. I asked him, do you miss the Astros?
Wasn't saying no comment.
No comment. I mean, because he knows, and he wrote a book about it, and he chronicled it about everything that was going on in the Astros and how they dealt with employees and a lot of different stuff that was going on. That I think a lot of people just didn't. If you weren't in Houston, you didn't really. Everybody just called you cheaters and booed you, but people didn't really care all that. We cared. We went after it, but a lot of people didn't care. But Evan Drellich.
What's funny you mentioned it. Really, sorry. The reason funny you mentioned Evan, he's the one that broke the report about Lawrence and his extension. Because remember, he was like, I have some extension news. The guy who says he wants to talk about the business of baseball broke business news while we were in Arizona.
That's right. So he's like, I got something for you guys.
Yeah, right before. Yeah, when I saved his sunglasses for him, and we've been friends for life.
You saved his sunglasses, and then he's like, I got something for you guys. An extension's coming down. We're like, what? Really? And then in our minds, Who is it?
Yeah, or minds are racing. Who is it? Who?
Because I didn't think Lawrence Butler because he's got so much time left before you really have to do it. So it makes it so special, right? They didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do it.
Well, apparently there's we won't get into it, but I guess they call this extension week because I saw an article about Paul Skeens and stuff and being extended, and it said that they call this and welcome to MLB extension week. I guess because it's leading into the series. We got our first game next week. The Cubs and Dodgers are next Tuesday.
Oh yeah, they're almost done with spring training. They're gonna be boarding the birds to
Japan.
And by the way, that is a long flight from Arizona. Because I know people are like, oh, from the West Coast. Oh boy. From Arizona, it's like, I want to say it took us like 13, 14 hours each time. Because you leave Phoenix and you go all the way up and then you go down. It takes forever. And it's cool because when you're on the plane, they charter you the plane and there's the map as you're flying and you see how you go all the way up and you're like, why don't we just go straight across? I know nothing about aviation. I don't know. I was just like, why don't we just go straight across? Why are we going up around Alaska? I don't get this, but obviously the jet streams and everything. It's a long flight. So I've lost. So I got the birthday coming up on the 15th. I've lost essentially 2 birthdays in my life flying to Japan because you always leave because they're going to be leaving probably like this weekend. And so in 2019, we left on the 14th, arrived March 14th, we left, arrived in Japan on March 15th with like an hour to spare. So I had like 1 hour of my birthday. I had 1 hour. That was it. So we got off the plane, got on buses, and by the time we got to the hotel, my birthday was over.
Well, usually
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, we always talk about
because you lose a day going there, and then you gain the day when you come back.
I was going to say you were going into the future.
Yeah, I was going into the future. We landed; it was the future. My birthday was gone. I never even got to happy birthday. Didn't even get it.
And that was back as you mentioned, back in your partying days. So you couldn't even party.
I didn't even party on my birthday. I had 1 hour on my birthday, and it was landing and then buses to the the beautiful Otani Hotel in Tokyo, Japan. Whenever we want to do that again, you got to go. I'm telling you, if you love baseball, it's an unbelievable trip because you get to see Japanese baseball, and Japanese baseball it's beautiful chaos. The way the Japanese, and we're waiting for Lawrence Butler, by the way. Lawrence Butler is going to join us at any point. But they set up 2 cages. So they have 2 cages, not 1 cage like we do in America. They have 2 cages. And the movement that's going on, and the balls are flying everywhere. I remember I took video of it. I don't know where that is because I wish I had the video and I could show everybody. I stood behind home plate and they got guys hitting into the net behind home plate, behind the cages, but then they got people, fungos are going everywhere, batting practice is going everywhere, balls are going everywhere, and no one gets hit. I'm like, somebody's got to get dotted here. This is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen. There's baseballs flying everywhere, but it's all in this timed movement, hard to explain. But I wasn't the only one amazed by it. Like, we were like, how are they doing it? I've been in baseball my whole life, whether it was playing, broadcasting. I've been around. I've never seen anything like it. 2 cages, 2 batting practices going on at the same time. You have 2 guys throwing, 2 guys hitting, multiple fungos being hit, guys running bases, and it was all coordinated. Japanese baseball's fascinating. Then you get to the games, and they got bands like college football and the Thundersticks. And each player, so they're not playing walk-up songs like we have the walk-up songs. In Japan, the bands are going in, and the band has a different song for each player. So I was like, I got to see this. So I left the press box and I went out into left field and I just took video of all the chants and everything. And then they figured out I was obviously an American and I'm there filming them, and they start hamming it up, and it was like, this is incredible. It's like their version of college football. and the fans are all chanting and singing the songs, and they're going nuts, and it's Thundersticks. I'm like, I'm into this.
My wife and I, we ended up going to Iceland and Ireland for our honeymoon, but we had a whole plan to go to Japan for our honeymoon. And then obviously with COVID and travel restrictions, we had to pivot, but Japan's been on the list of places I've wanted. It's number one on my list of places I've been wanting to visit forever, just to go see the culture, what everything's like, to see Japanese baseball. Hell, I think we were going to go see sumo wrestling.
Oh, I'd love to see that. We just never had time for that. The beef is out of this world, and the fish out of this world. So if we ever get a chance to do that, and I remember Billy Bean talking to Billy about it, because his oldest daughter, Casey, I remember she was young when she went and he brought her. And Billy always talked about how the reason why, once again, getting back to this family thing, Billy always felt it was a big deal for the organization to go, and it was an experience for everybody's life, right? Because these baseball people think about baseball, right? They think about baseball and data and, Billy always having a bigger perspective. I know it doesn't seem like that in Moneyball, but Billy does. Billy always felt, hey, sign us up. Let's go, because it's great for our organization. It's great for the people who work in the organization. It's great for these young players. A lot of these young players, they've never traveled outside of the United States before. A lot of people inside the organization had never traveled outside the United States before. And here is a trip to go to Tokyo, Japan. And it's also a great bonding, right? It's a great bonding for everybody. Like the front office. And when we say the front office, everybody just thinks about the baseball people. No, the front office is everybody. Like on our passes, it says front office. We're all a part of the front office. So it's everybody on this major plane together. And you get to know players get to know you get to know wives, parents, like everybody gets to know each other. These trips are really, really special. So I hope at some point in my career, we do that again. And I have a feeling, especially once we're in Las Vegas, that, we're going to be a team that there is a couple teams in baseball. It's a destination place for people to go that they want to go. Wrigley and Fenway will always be destinations. When your team plays at Wrigley or Fenway, people go, gotta go and see it. Fenway Park to me it's like a museum, it feels like. Like you go to Fenway and you sit in those seats and you just think like, man, guys like Babe Ruth and Ted Williams and Ty Cobb, these guys playing so long ago. Well over 100 years ago, guys were playing on this exact same field, right? And it's just like, wow. When you're sitting there, it's like, wow, this place is super old and super cool. Fenway is super cool. Wrigley, I think, is great. I didn't get the same sense, even though you used to have the same thing, old and all the players. It's just the quirkiness of Fenway. It's just, and the way Fenway, around Fenway, everything is so old. Now the Cubs have bought everything out. There's no party like Chicago. I will say this. Wrigleyville, Wrigleyville is awesome. Like you want to, like that, Wrigleyville would be a great place for like a bachelor party or a boys trip.
Yeah, I've known some friends that have gone and done that.
Yeah, that is no doubt about it. And Wrigley's super. I'm not taking anything away from Wrigley. Wrigley's incredible experience too. To me, Fenway, the old Yankee Stadium. I was there for a game where it was shaking and like old Yankee Stadium's like, wow. The monuments, it was like, wow. But they're destination spots. Like Kansas City's not a destination spot. Milwaukee, Tampa, Texas, Houston, they're not destination spots, right? Vegas is going to be a destination spot. It will be on everybody's bucket list. I'm getting texts.
We're still good.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing about Vegas. It will be a complete bucket list deal when it comes to Major League Baseball. And that, I think, is when we will get back to, I got jealous of what was it, the D-backs and the Dodgers who did Australia?
I think so, yeah.
Or
That
the,
was
the Padres and Dodgers were Korea, South Korea. But I think it was the Dodgers. I mean, now that'd be a long flight, but to go do baseball in Australia would just be, I mean, I don't think it could get any better than that.
I want to see MLB. I was going to play MLB series and.
Well, you know what? Let's get to the deGrom since we're waiting. I do want to get to the deGrom.
Dodgers and D-backs. Yeah, it was Dodgers and D-backs.
Yeah, they got this plan. Can you imagine a trip to Australia and do because when you go there, it's like this huge celebration of our game, and to be in another country and to watch these people show up and just like be enthralled by our game. Well, you got to remember too, when we went there in 2019, you had Moneyball had come out. Moneyball was huge in Asia. Brad Pitt is huge in Asia. Like, he's huge. It's Brad Pitt. He's a global superstar. So Brad Pitt playing Billy Bean in Asia was a big deal. They all watched it. And then, remember, we had Hideki Matsui. We had Godzilla. So there was a ton of A's fans. We have a ton of A's fans. There's A's fans everywhere. We can prove it to you. We have the data with A's Cast. People listen to we have all these listeners who listen to A's Cast and they watch, but they listen to A's Cast in Australia. You'll be able to hear it. For our new fans on 650 KSTE, get ready. We get phone calls. We call them from the future because when they call after a game, they're calling a day ahead. And yeah, we have a fan base because we've had Australian players, including Liam Hendricks was a big deal. We have a whole group of people in Australia who love A's baseball. And they will call the post-game show, and they listen to this show. It's wild. It's wild how many people love A's baseball. Moneyball was a big deal. Not only winning the 3 World Series in the 70s, then in the 80s, you had that super team with all the stars. But Moneyball really, from a global standpoint, everybody read the book, or if you didn't read the book, you saw the movie, everybody. So whether you're a fan or not, you know of us. Like in the airport in Las Vegas, a lady was talking to me. I had just an A's polo on, the same one I was wearing, the one I was wearing yesterday, and she struck up like, "Oh, the A's." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I mean, people know the A's, and I think the movie Moneyball really put us in a different level because so many. I mean, it was up for an Academy Award, for God's sakes. As we wait for Lawrence Butler, you want to get to.
Yeah, we got David Forst coming up at the bottom of the hour, the general manager of the Athletics. So, yeah, I have the deGroms on. We never finished that article either. We got through the first 2 guys, or 3 guys, and then maybe we can save that for tomorrow.
We've been in a holding, but it's like we're on a flight. We've been in a holding pattern for Lawrence now for
an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah, so we've been waiting. We're like, yeah. So let's actually, the deGrom's not very long, right?
It's a minute 12.
All right. So Jacob deGrom had his first outing for the Rangers. We all know he is an unbelievable talent. What he did with the Mets, two-time Cy Young Award winner, has never been able to really stay healthy for a long period of time. It's electric stuff that not many human beings have ever possessed. He has a God-given ability to throw this baseball with high velocity and to make it move. It's a gift. To be able, for certain guys, it's like when Blake Trinan has his stuff going, like it is a gift to be able to throw with that kind of velocity and have that kind of movement, whether it's sideways or it's dropping, because the ball doesn't have very far to go. And when it's going 100 miles an hour, making a ball move that much when it doesn't have that far to go is crazy. People say it's like wiffle for all of us who played wiffle ball growing up, and the wiffle ball, half the holes on. Crazy the way the ball moves. Some of these guys can make balls move that it's really hard to explain. Jacob deGrom is one of those guys. He signs the big deal with Texas. It was, see you later, Mets. I'm going to Texas. No state taxes. I'm out of here. They win the World Series without him. But, as a generational talent, you hope that he gets back on the beam here. And what you're about to hear is, I hope everybody in baseball listens to this. This is Jacob deGrom talking about his outing and talking about his future.
But getting out there obviously is a big plus, but was able to locate pretty well. Biggest thing from that one was like locating arm side was not great, but everything to my glove side was good, which that's normally where I throw the ball. So, it's just going to be to some of those lefties when I was trying to go away. That's probably I got to be able to stick a fastball there a little bit better. But other than that, slider was good. Do a couple curveballs, fastball was good. So everything felt good. The main thing's health, and looking forward to getting back out there. Probably could have let it go a little bit more, but like the way, like even my live, it was kind of toned back. And then I look back at the 2 best years of my career and I didn't throw 100. So like locating and, I'd rather stick a 97 where I want than 100 that leaks back a little bit. So I think it's pitching smarter. And then, if you have that where, hey, now I got 2 strikes, let me stand on this one. It's almost like another pitch. So I think it is a combination of things based on health and, being smarter, like, hey, sit at this speed and use it when you need to, back off when you need to, and just kind of see how the game's going.
Send it to Scott Emerson. He's been talking about this for years. We have an epidemic in our game. Nobody can stay healthy.
I'm saying 1 minute till break.
Oh. Here is a guy that has the ability to be an all-time great who's saying, you know what? I won 2 Cy Young Awards not throwing 100. And everybody has been chasing 100. Everybody, lower ranks, minor leagues, big leagues, velocity, velocity, velocity. Tail it back, throw better pitches. You'll pitch more innings. You'll hopefully stay healthy. This is the way to go. Rearing back every single pitch. There's risk every single time you get on the mound. But when you're airing it out every single time that you go out, every single pitch, you're trying to take your body to the max, you will not stay healthy. It is very rare. Nolan Ryan is a freak. Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, these guys are a freak. The reality is, if you try and rev it up every single time, folks, you're going to get hurt. And hopefully we all can learn. Jacob deGrom, I'm going to scale it back. You know why? I won 2 Cy Young Awards doing it. I don't always have to go max velo. Can we all learn from that?
Yeah.
Can we all learn from that? We're hoping Lawrence Butler next, right here on A's Cast Live.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabathia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, Playboy Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big leagues. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, so right now it's just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% up there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
Exciting. The time of game, everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room and celebrate a win. So I love it, and I feel like I just embrace it and take the role for what it is.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/acecast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All right, well, the legend continues to grow. We were in Dallas at the winter meetings. It was a scout, or actually a longtime agent, told us. And then now I was at this bougie party in the Red Rock Casino. Got to meet the vice president of UNLV. Pretty big deal. And then he gave me the scouting report. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cal Ripken of Harvard, the great David Forst joins us here on A's Cast Live. The legend of your Harvard career, it doesn't matter if I'm in Dallas, I'm in Vegas, it's coast to coast, border to border. It continues to grow.
Cody suckered me on here by telling me we were going to talk about Lawrence, and then you guys just change the subject and go back to your, like you said, your bougie party from Saturday night and misinformation that's being spread. So
it was cool meeting your buddy. I mean, that's a vice president of UNLV.
Yeah, Bo Bernhardt is he's kind of a big deal at UNLV. So he's a college teammate of mine. He's a Vegas native. It was nice to get him at the party for a little bit. But yeah, he's overseeing the foundation there at UNLV now. And actually their president just stepped down. I didn't want to ask Bo, but I'm guessing he's maybe part of the conversation as they look for a new president. But yeah, I was glad you got to say hello to him. And it was a nice event, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fantastic. And before we get to Lawrence, I just said this. One of the things about my open, David, was, we've heard so much about Vegas and we've been promoting Vegas, but now that you've seen it, but for us to be there and to be with all the big wigs and to be with all the people, and I got to interview a lot of them, you just realize how real it really is.
For sure. No, that's a good way to describe it. And yeah, look, I've been there a lot over the years. Obviously, since the Aviators have been our affiliate, I go a couple times a year to see them. There's always amateur stuff to see there. And there are a lot of reasons from a baseball standpoint to go to Las Vegas. So I've been going a lot over the years. But I will say, every year over the last couple, that this has become more real. It's felt different, and this trip was no exception. I mean, the people know we're coming. We're so close, I think, to a groundbreaking. Obviously, John and the ownership group are out there talking to sponsors and investors, and it is more and more real.
All right, Lawrence Butler, I use the word love, and we don't use the word love a lot in our business, but when you draft a kid, you raise them in your organization. Every single coach, whether it's on the pitching side, everybody has been a part of that journey with Lawrence and buses and the minor leagues and all the different systems. And now at the big league level, Fran Reardon told us yesterday he's never seen a player improve so fast. Lawrence loves this organization. This organization loves Lawrence. He's a pillar. Just talk about what it meant to you to sign him up and ink him up to a long-term extension.
It's a good description by you for sure. I don't know if you guys had a chance to play my opening comments at any point from the press conference this morning, but that was exactly how I described it. This is a triumph, obviously, for Lawrence, who has turned himself into an incredible player, but this is a huge success story for the organization. This is a guy who was drafted in the 6th round, not a first-round pick, not a big name. Jamel Spearman, our area guy outside Atlanta, love this kid as an 18-year-old. He's a 6th-round pick. He's a guy who played rookie ball, played short season ball, then missed a year because of COVID, and then came back after COVID and hit every level of the organization, and every cross-checker saw him, every roving instructor impacted him, and got him here. And then he went and turned himself into one of the best young players in the game. So from sort of soup to nuts, this was a success story to get him to the point where he earned this contract.
And when you draft a player, obviously you're drafting the skills that he has and what you think he will project to be. But the one thing you never know is, what is he going to grow into as a man? What kind of a leader is he going to be? And to know that Lawrence Butler is a guy that has that big smile, and every single day he shows up, and he's so inviting. He's so humble. He treats everybody the same. Hopefully he becomes this mega superstar, but it is very rare to have somebody that is a glue guy in the clubhouse and has that ability to be a superstar player. You don't know that when you're going to draft a guy. You don't know what he's going to be. Just talk about that side of Lawrence outside the lines.
Yeah, I wish I could say there's like a science to it and you know exactly what you're getting and what they're going to turn into. There obviously isn't. And you rely on the area guys, the Jamel Spearmans of the world, to get to know the kid and his family and to vouch for what he has the potential to be. I mean, then that's all it is. When you draft an 18-year-old kid anywhere, you're talking potential. What might he be? And I will say in Lawrence's case, I don't know that we knew a year ago that he had the potential to be this guy, to grow up the way he did over the last year. And certainly the two guys who we've now extended between Brent and Lawrence, a huge part of that decision is who they are as people, what impact they have on the people around them, the clubhouse, everything we're doing as a franchise. And I don't think we knew until really the last 6 months that Lawrence had that in him. And it's taken off. He is really, you talk about this guy as a leader. Even his answers at the press conference today, I was sort of blown away by how sort of mature and well thought out his thoughts are and what he thinks about his role here. I just can't say enough about the kid.
And what does that also say to the other young players on the athletics team and all the guys on the minor league squad? Because for years, the narrative was, if you play here and you do well, at some point you'll get shipped out. Now you do well, you can stay here for a long time and be rewarded.
Yeah, that part is definitely true. I mean, look, we've pushed back a little bit on that narrative just because ultimately, like, all these guys are trying to make the big leagues. I appreciate they feel some loyalty to the A's for drafting them, and this is where they want to be. But I know whatever opportunity they're getting, they want to be big leaguers. That said, I do think it changes the message a little bit. And look, we've been trying to do this for years. We just have never been in the position to do it. And going back to what we started talking about, the reality of Las Vegas, that's what allows us to do this. It allows us to sign Brent, to extend the manager, to lock up Lawrence for 7 years, just things we've always talked about as a front office, but have never been able to execute. And I said this morning, it's a good time to be part of this organization right now.
Yeah, you're getting to play offense. You played a lot of defense for years. You're now getting to play offense. It's got to feel great.
It's fun. Yeah, it's why we do this. It's what we hope to do. We still have to go out there and compete and win games and kind of put it all together and stay healthy and all those things. But as far as the building the foundation and kind of executing on the things we've always wanted to do, this has been a good off season for that.
So far for the spring, everything looks pretty good. How are you feeling? I know you got a few games left before you head north.
No, I'm happy. Look, we're coming off winning 3 out of 4 over the weekend, so everybody's in a good mood right now. We're a little banged up. Brady Basso went down. Brett Harris, a little oblique issue right now, but generally minor stuff. So knock on wood. Let's hope we keep it at that the next 2 weeks. But I like the way we've played. Guys have been going out there, taking their at-bats seriously. A lot of pitchers getting good work in. I think both the rotation and the bullpen are kind of taking shape here, though some decisions still to make. But the intensity has been really good. I think last week's off day came at a good time to give everybody a blow ahead of the split squads this weekend. And I know Mark's really happy with how things are going.
I think about the way baseball is right now, and so much is about your 40-man roster. I know you just made some moves. Some guys are going to be going down. Sometimes those are tough conversations for the younger guys, maybe not so much, but how much is the message of, yeah, you may be going down, but you could be up at any point this year. You got to be ready.
Well, that's always been a huge part of our message here, and whether it's Mark or the managers before him, I mean, you're always selling opportunity, and you know the sort of proof is in the pudding. We use 50 guys a season or whatever the number is in any given year, and 10 starters and all these things. Everybody wants to be there opening day. You know, everyone wants to stand on the line for the opener, but the reality is, like, you have a chance to make an impact here at any point during the season. So if you get sent out of camp, like, you know, it's a bummer for a day, then go back to work and make sure you're ready when the call comes.
So the 26-man roster, just there's still some decisions to be made. How many do you think are still out there for you?
I still think, you know, 4 and 5 starter, 2 or 3 spots in the bullpen, the last couple spots on the bench. I mean, there's still a lot to do before we break camp 2 weeks from today.
You know, that the bench is crazy now because you don't have a big bench. I mean, with so many pitchers,
right?
You don't have. I mean, you got to have a backup catcher. I mean, you're kind of limited. So talk about just how important it is that you got to have the right bench guys, because you got to have that versatility, right? And they got to play a lot of positions.
Right. The versatility is huge, and guys who play a bunch of spots either in the outfield or infield or both are critical. And then you have to find guys who complement what you expect your starting 9 to be, and whether that's from a right-left standpoint or running in defense or, you know, giving guys a day off here and there. Like, everybody has to complement the rest of the roster. So you're right. When you only have 13 position player spots, you really need to sort of figure out, okay, what options are we giving cuts to put a lineup together on a daily basis?
All right, obviously, being in the Valley of the Sun, the weather is great. It's a perfect time. People always say, how do you love Arizona? I go, I love Arizona. They go, what happens when it's hot? I go, I don't know. I've never been there when it's hot.
We're not here, exactly.
It's always 75, and I'm in shorts and ready to play golf. At what point does David Forst go, I miss my bed, I'm ready to get out of there?
Oh, I'm there. Don't worry. So I've got a few trips scheduled home in the next 2 weeks already for some high school baseball games. But no, we've been here a month basically. Yeah, I think February 11th we got here. So everybody's starting to think about that and getting to Sacramento, seeing the ballpark. I know they're working night and day to finish it up. So there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for sure. And guys are starting to make plans to be there. So I think it's official to say we're in the home stretch now.
Well, you've been at this a long time with this organization, just like how Law grew up in this organization. You've grown up in this organization. And to be at this time with the way things are changing, the culture is changing, I know it means a lot to you professionally, what you've been through, and it's a lot of fun. So continued success. Hope everybody stays healthy, and we'll see you in Sacramento.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
David Forst, the general manager of the Athletics. Lawrence Butler is going to be calling in ASAP. We're going to get Law in, and you just get the sense of what this really means, right? And when we talk about the family, and yeah, David Forst came here as a kid out of Harvard and now is one of 30 GMs in all of baseball, and what he has been through, being Billy Beane's right-hand man, eventually taking over and running the franchise. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to watch his growth. And yeah, playing offense instead of defense. Do we have Lawrence Butler? Law, how are you?
How we doing?
Thank you. For a guy like yourself who is so fun and you love life, you know this contract was done. How tough was it for you to kind of keep this secret for these past almost a week?
I mean, it was probably one of the toughest jobs I've had these past couple of months, really, just going through all the negotiations, going through all the back and forth. I mean, it's been hard to just keep it shut, but I mean, I've just been excited. I mean, that's probably been the most hard part. I've just been super excited. You know, I'm excited to be here. Excited to finally get this behind me, finally excited to, just be able to start the season on that. I'm going to be here for 7 years.
We just talked to the general manager, David Forst, and I wanted to bring this up to you because we talked to Fran Reardon about this yesterday. There's been so many people in this organization who have been a part of your journey. And I use the word love because we don't use the word love a lot in our sport, how much you love this organization, but more importantly, everybody is just so happy for you. It shows the love that they have for you for all the years. What does it mean to you that so many people care about you, the person, and they're so happy that you're now taken care of? Was it overwhelming? What has that been like, just the reaction to you getting this extension?
I mean, it's a surreal feeling. I mean, like you said, I love this organization. You know, they were the only organization that took a chance on me out of high school, you know, in the draft. And, you know, I thank them solely for that. And, you know, I'm just thankful and I'm just grateful, you know, humble to be, you know, chosen to, you know, be able to have this opportunity. And, you know, I wouldn't want it with any other organization than the A's because, you know, they've showed me love since day one. And, you know, I've loved them, you know, 100% back. And, you know, it's just been a mutual thing that, you know, me and the A's have, you know, just grown to become, you know, great relationship with everybody in the organization from top to bottom.
You know, we didn't get to see the press conference earlier today, but what was it like with the family being around you when you're out on the field and you're talking about this great extension, which obviously is not only huge for you, but also huge for the family?
I mean, it's like nothing I could ever imagine. I mean, when you have an opportunity like this to, you know, change your family life and everybody around you life forever, I mean, it's just a different feeling. It's a feeling that you can't even describe, a feeling that you never felt before. I mean, a lot of emotions, and you know, I'm just really thankful, you know, for the organization for giving me this opportunity.
You know, everybody likes to talk about different things about what happened to you last year, how things change and how things flip. And people will talk about mechanical stuff, but so much with you, the gift to be able to play this game, so much is mental. What was it that flipped for you last season that turned you into the player you knew and you always believed you'd be?
You know, it was really just Scott sitting me down and telling me that, you know, you work hard, but you know, it's the big leagues. You don't have to work harder. And, you know, me, him, and Bushy had multiple talks, multiple conversations last year, you know, before I got sent down, after I got sent down, you know, and after I got sent back up, you know, we just continued to, you know, they always believed in me. They always worked with me, you know, no matter what happened, they always, you know, told me that, hey, you're our guy. You know, we see a lot in you. You know, we see a bright future in you. So, you know, just continue to keep working. We're going to always work with you. We're never going to give up on you. And, you know, things just started to turn around from there. So, you know, it's just really just me putting the work in and me trusting them and them trusting me with, you know, the ability I have and knowledge they have to, you know, put it together and make something special.
I know how much the great Bobby Crosby means to you. So I reached out to Bobby, and you know the contract. He's so thrilled for you. So I wanted him to ask you a question. So he sent me this question for you. Was there one specific moment when you knew you would succeed and be a star in the league, or is it something you always knew? That question is from Bobby Crosby.
Bob knows me. He knows I've been the same way since I was a kid. You know, my dream was to be a big leaguer. You know, I've always believed that. You know, since the day I've hit my first homer, you know, I believed I could be a big leaguer and I could believe I could be a star in this league. And, you know, he believed that with me as well. You know, he was my manager in AA. You know, me and Bob had a lot of one-on-one talks in his office, you know, about just life and, you know, a lot of different things. So, you know, I really appreciate him for, you know, just kind of showing me, you know, the ropes of just, you know, what it takes to be a big leaguer and, you know, how the big league way is supposed to go. So, you know, I really just appreciate everything he's done for me. And, you know, I'm just excited to get going.
Leadership and friendship means a lot to you. And we see that inside the clubhouse, that you want to make everybody involved. You want to make everybody feel welcome. You got that big smile every day. How important is it for you every day to make sure that the clubhouse is running the right way?
I mean, it's huge because, I mean, it's 9 people on the field. It's not one. I mean, you got people in the bullpen, you got people on the bench, you know, you got to make the whole clubhouse, you know, feel as one, because that's what we are. We are all one team, a lot of working pieces to make, you know, this one big, beautiful picture of, you know, athletics baseball organization. And, you know, it's from people in the office, grounds crews, training room, you know, analytical staff, you know, it's just everybody coming together to, you know, complete one goal, which is winning and winning a World Series. So, you know, all of us just working together, like a one big family. It just creates more chemistry throughout the clubhouse and throughout the organization to where everybody can get along. Nobody doesn't know who anybody is. Everybody knows everybody's names, and we all just get along and it's one big family, and we're all reaching for the same goal.
Well, I can tell you what, 7 years means 7 years of us doing a lot of stuff with you here on A's Cast and A's Cast Live. I cannot wait, my friend. I got big plans for you.
We got big plans, Towny. Me and you already talked about this. We got huge plans.
It's going to be a big year for both of us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for everybody, associated with the A's org. And, I'm ready to just get it started and start winning these games.
No doubt about it. Congratulations. We're all thrilled for you. And it's a big moment for you in your life, but you got so many more big moments we can't wait to see. Good luck the rest of the way. Stay healthy, and we'll see you in Sacramento, my friend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me on, Tiny. Always love.
The great Lawrence Butler, man. It is it's exciting. It is exciting. It is so cool that this happened. I mean, like I said, the dirty little secret, we have known this is happening, but it is so cool that this is coming off what we experienced in Vegas, because we're all kind of riding the high coming off Vegas, right? We just had the signing of our new president, Mark Bedane, which was like, wow. And then now we knew Lawrence Butler was going to happen, but now it's official. And it's just like all these signs of change and things are different. And it's just, it's hard not to be on cloud nine. It's hard not to, right? It's like we're going forward. There's so much positive momentum. Go to Sacramento, sold out every single night. Vegas is going to be, we're going to start doing a lot more things in Vegas. It's just so much positivity. It's so refreshing. It's good for the human spirit. It's good for everybody. And that's why signing Lawrence is so key. Did you hear? He just mentioned bullpen, people in the front of it. Every single day, Lawrence walks into that clubhouse. He makes everybody feel special. Whether he was making the minimum, whether he was trying. Remember 2 years ago, we had that breakout spring, and everybody talked about, God, this guy's great. Love Lawrence Butler. We love him in the clubhouse. It doesn't matter. The dollar amount's not going to change. He's one of the players, the dollar amount's not going to change him. This is who he is. Talk about he's been raised right. This is who Lawrence Butler is. This is a guy that wants everybody to be happy, wants everybody to be included. And you need guys like that in the clubhouse, because you are going to bring in some guys that are tough to deal with. It's life. But if the guy can play, you'll deal with it. Because in the end, this is about winning and losing. And the best players, you want the best players. But some of those guys got to be the right guys. And you got a guy like Lawrence who will set the tone inside the clubhouse for years to come. A voice, because there's the alpha male. And when your alpha male is a good dude, it's completely different when the alpha male is not. And when the alpha male is not a good dude, I'll stop picking on Barry Bonds. I'll give you another one. And because he flipped when he got here. I remember going into the White Sox clubhouse, since we're playing the White Sox today, coming up in moments. So I was going into the White Sox clubhouse, and Albert Bell, Frank Thomas, and Frank was an ass. And Frank was not getting along with Reinsdorf. He was not getting along with the media. I'm not the Chicago media. And Frank was not very pleasant. And Frank got to be known as not a really good dude. Albert Bell, clearly. It was Albert Bell. Once again, would I take Albert Bell on my team? Of course I would. I would deal with all of that because Albert Bell's got Hall of Fame numbers. Right? What's Albert Bell's career WAR? Quickly. Albert Bell was a beast.
40.1.
Oh, God, no, he doesn't. Sorry. What was his career numbers?
295 hitter, 381 home runs, 1,239 RBIs, and a 933 OPS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's got a 933 OPS. If you're saying because he doesn't have defense, that's fine. Albert Bell had a 933 career OPS. That's Hall of Fame. Like, he doesn't have the defense for the WAR. 930. If I go to the Hall of Fame right now, how many guys have a better OPS than 933? There's a lot of guys he has a better career OPS than.
Oh, absolutely.
He slugs and gets on base. I'll deal with the mess that's Albert Bell. Albert Bell was on a lot of good teams. But back to the story. Bottom line, Frank Thomas was tough to deal with, right? And it ended awful in Chicago. Frank Thomas comes to the A's. And I'll never forget the first time I went up to him. Frank Thomas was sitting down. I'm thinking, oh, man, how's this going to go? Frank Thomas stood up. He's a mountain of a man. Remember, Frank Thomas was a tight end catching balls and blocking in the SEC. Frank Thomas is a big man. Got up and was a completely different person. Like, getting out of Chicago was the greatest thing for Frank Thomas. The pressure, the fighting, all of that was gone. It was a new life for Frank Thomas. Shook his hand. Happy to be here. Whatever you want to do. I was like, awesome. Who's this guy? Because the last time you can't always judge people based on one interaction of going into the clubhouse. But Frank had gotten to be known as very combative with everything in life in Chicago, right? This was well documented. He came to Oakland, was a sweetheart, and ended up being, third in the MVP balloting?
Yeah.
And we've had Frank Thomas on since he retired on this show, and Frank Thomas has said, and multiple times, best year of his career was that year was in Oakland. And, that's what I'm saying. To have a guy that's not an inclusive guy as your star can be rough. But when he's a guy like Lawrence Butler, like I said, he's going to be able to recruit other free agents. All the kids in the minor league system are going to look up to him. Man, this signing is spectacular. So Vegas is real, folks. And Vegas is going to be spectacular. We learned that over the weekend. And Lawrence Butler and the word love, they go hand in hand. It's great. Coming up next, A's baseball. It's the A's and the White Sox, and we'll see everybody tomorrow right here, A's Cast Live at 2 o'clock.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.